You are watching Anachronology.
What? Television's the next category, no?
It is, my friend. We are going to talk about television. Obviously, something everybody loves. I know we love TV. That is our next category.
This has gotta be
TV,
a very good
1999.
year.
What
This has gotta be a great
amazing
year.
things came out in 1999. Obviously, there were some pretty crappy things. We could try to more talk about the good things. I'm seeing what's been popped up here by Epoch Traverser, and obviously, first out the gate, 1999. Who could forget? The premiere of the
Heavy hitter.
freaking Sopranos, dude, that was obviously a coveted moment in TV history, possibly the beginning of the golden age of television.
So, this was like I don't think it had as big as Game of Thrones was for the HBO and the world at large. The Sopranos was I don't think with no Sopranos, there's no Game of Thrones. Even though it's one is adapted
Agree.
from a science fantasy novel series of books, and this was an original based in reality mafia. Look at a mafioso with a home life, but without this show, I mean, do you get any of these freaking hour-long dramas to the extent that they are with this is kind of like the Wire. I think also came out right before this or right in the same year. But dude, Sopranos. I mean,
Yeah,
this is still.
Sopranos, man. It's just and I think it is like you said. I think something had to come first, and this came first, and it just showed people that like TV could be a different vehicle for cinematic entertainment. You could get amazing actors in your stuff, guest starring or starring. You could get amazing writing. You could have the 45-minute to an hour episode. It was basically like, let's captivate people, like we do in the movies, but let's make an incredible gangster movie, but let's stretch it several seasons, all these different arcs and characters, and obviously headed by the amazing, um, sadly, too early to go, James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano, who freaking steals the show, even upon rewatches. I think I rewatched the show maybe 2 years ago, and it still had it still hit. It was like,
Do,
wow, this is hanging in there,
do you remember anybody else that was like up for the role of Tony Soprano? I can't think off the top of my head if there was like any other actor, like if he was always the first choice, if
No.
there was other like someone else. Like I'm trying to think what other kind of like Italian American actor could have pulled
Like who could, yeah, like
that
who
up.
could have
You know
done
what I
it?
mean? Back then,
Yeah,
like Ray Romano, like
maybe.
Carmella.
That's kind of what I was. Oh God, that would be. Can you imagine? I think what they may have.
I have to kill Big Pussy
Oh
Carmella.
my God, dude. Yeah,
I've known him since we were boys.
everybody hates Tony. Um, but I think that the only other options were maybe the rogues gallery of all the different like Italian American supporting actors who had since been in the Goodfellas and all these other kind of Italian mobster movies. And it's funny because a lot of them ended up doing cameos on the show, or
Yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
they were a
un-
part of Tony's crew, for Christ's sakes.
Uncle Junior was in Godfather 2. Lorraine Bracco, obviously in
Oh, amazing.
Goodfellas, obviously. I don't know if Edie Falco was anything. The daughter there, Jamie Ziegler, she's Jewish, so she wasn't in anything. Can't remember about anybody in the immediate family, but dude, yeah, dude, The Sopranos, 1999. Come on, I mean, HBO, one of the great. If you haven't seen it, great show. If you
It's
got,
yeah,
if
it's really a pitch perfect kind of thing. It's worth watching again. I mean, you can watch it anywhere. I mean, well, honestly, no, you can only watch it on HBO. It's their crown jewel. They're not
just,
going to let anybody take
just
that
pirate
shit.
it, just
But
pirate it if you need to.
yeah, pirate it, download it, do whatever you need to do. But it's totally worth the watch, and it's totally worth the hype. And obviously, it's of course, in my opinion, of 1999,
Oh,
that's
it's
the
the very
number
best,
one, the big thing that came out
very
in
best,
1999.
dude.
Um,
The West Wing,
the
underrated.
West Wing. The West Wing is another one of those things that came out in 1999 that just shook the ground of TV. It was just people freaking loved and continue to love this freaking show.
I remember there was the writer for this, Aaron Sorkin, he got like arrested with like in magic mushrooms or something in Arizona. And back when there was a bunch of like just hitters on SNL. There was like the skit was because
I
everything was
remember
walking and
it.
talking. And didn't this show popularize like the walk and talk
Walk and
before?
talk,
But
yeah.
yeah, before yeah, everything was all static and there really wasn't much movement, but there was also much just locomotion in the show. And like the SNL skit was everything was all
Yeah.
tripped out because Aaron Sorkin got popped
It
with the
was a
magic
funny
mushrooms.
segment. It was like The
That's
West
awesome.
Wing on mushrooms and stuff, yeah, and they're all, like, walking, and it's all, like, psychedelic colors.
Dude, I think this dude was a madman too. I think he like
Insane.
there was like 7 seasons, or maybe not 8 seasons of this show, and he wrote like every episode up until I think the 7th season, and the network finally made him like get help. But dude, this dude was just crushing episodes of this just rapid fire dialogue
Insane.
that had all this like proper political terminology, and all the characters were all the actors obviously brought them to life, but the characters themselves were also so well written. Like it was easy to distinguish them by the words like they were on the page, not just the actors that portrayed them.
Absolutely, and like you said, it was like the authenticity he put to kind of the characters and the jobs that they had, and it's funny, it's like I've heard people say, like, "We'll never have a president as good as
Oh yeah,
Martin
the
Sheen."
fictional Jeb Bartlett for sure.
You know,
Jebby Bartlett.
he was so great, and, obviously, look at Rob Lowe in there, look at I mean, Allison Janney, everybody loved her, I mean, she won so many Emmys for this show. She won a lot.
That's I can't remember his freaking name, the guy on the right. He's in Adam Sandler in Happy
Bradley
Gilmore.
something?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, god dang it, I can't think of his
Oh,
fucking name.
he's so funny in Happy Gilmore too, he's such a
It's
shithead in it.
then Leo, that guy's I think, dude, this actor died. The guy who played Leo, his chief of staff there,
Oh,
that
I
actor,
loved him, dude, he was great.
dude, I can't. He's been in a bunch of shit too, but yeah, I think he died in obviously in real life, and they wrote that into the show. They're like, how? Well, obviously, you don't want your freaking actors to die in the middle of
Mm.
shooting anything, but they wrote that into the show, and it played well. I mean, dude was old in real life, old in the show, kicked the bucket.
Yeah, well, he got plenty of walk and talks in before he kicked it. But yeah, it's one of those shows too. Like you get addicted, you get pulled in. It's definitely worth a watch if you're into that kind of thing. Because I feel like so many shows have now since come and have taken from the backbone of West Wing.
Dooley Hill, I can't remember what the heck. Was he in Psych, right? Or what? No,
Yes, he
yeah,
is.
yeah,
That
right.
was
Isn't
his
he in
other
Psych now?
big kind of role. And look at him rocking that big pager on the waistband too. God damn.
That's his presidential pager.
Hells yeah.
Gets out
Yo,
of
the
the
president's
bunker.
paging me. I gotta roll.
God damn, how dope that would have been at the president's page. Oh shit, Freaks and Geek.
Oh, and then up on the list is obviously Freaks and Geeks. Also come out in 1999. A show
One
I think
season.
way
One
up,
season.
yeah, way ahead of its time. One season show, an absolute powerhouse vehicle for pretty much everybody that you see here today. Judd Apatow was pretty much a kingmaker years after this, and all of these people have since just been massive hits in Hollywood, in television, you name it, and they all started on this frickin' show.
I mean,
Wild.
Siegel, Franco, Rogan, Cardellini, Martin Starr, Sam Levine. I can't remember the name of the kid who he turned into he like grew up the younger brother. He's like 6'6" now or something. He's all scrawny. He's
John
in
something Daly, I
yeah.
think I'm not sure of his full name, but,
Yeah,
all
the
of them,
blonde girl.
all of them.
Yeah, I can't remember what else I've seen the blonde girl on, but dude, like, yeah, literally, how often is it you have all of your main cast go on to have
Ugh,
25-year-long career consistently after you were in one season of something? One season.
and it was like the curse of Judd Apatow at that time too, because remember he did this got shit canned after one season. He
Mhm.
did Undeclared a few years later, shit canned after
Right,
one
for one
season.
season.
He just couldn't hit it on television for a long time. And then you flash forward many years after, and he starts making these kinds of niche comedy movies, and he starts putting these people in these films, and people are like, oh my god, it's so and so. I mean, he is solely responsible for obviously the powerhouse that Seth Rogen has become in the past decade plus. It's just he gave all these people a voice, and I think Paul Feig wrote this with him too. I'm pretty sure
I
Paul
believe
Feig
so.
was very instrumental in Freaks and Geeks. And it was just like goofy and funny. It was very much encapsulated with, I thought the soundtrack was really good on it. I haven't seen it in a
Oh, yeah.
long time, but
Oh,
it's a good watch for sure.
who plays her dad too? Who plays the
Oh,
Cardellini and the other dude?
I could
He's
see him
awesome.
too.
That dude,
He's great.
he's
Second
also
City
in
guy, right?
he's also yeah, he's also in Happy Gilmore. He's yelling at Happy to
Jackass.
yeah,
Yeah.
jackass. No, he's awesome. Whoever that guy is, he's great.
Yeah. Again, just these kind of bit parts, people coming in, and it was just really funny and filled with heart and good. And unfortunately, a one season wonder, and then it never came back. But
That's all
yeah,
you get.
check out some Freaks and Geeks.
Space.
Spaced is a weird one. Space is definitely, I would call it a TV B-side that I don't think a lot of people know about. And I think it's fantastic. And it is one of those things that when you understand that, Edgar Wright is attached to it and you watch this show,
It's
you
got
get it.
Edgar right all over it.
You just get it immediately. I mean, within watching the first couple minutes of the first episode, I do believe it was on BBC, and it was obviously a British thing. But I mean, you see Simon Pegg, you see Nick Frost in there, you see some of these other players that also all just like were peppered into all his films at one point or another. But this was basically like the building blocks for Shaun of the Dead.
And I mean, like you said, if you are familiar with Edgar Wright and you watch it, it completely makes
Oh,
sense. I mean, this is another one. So this guy, he's been since for 24, so 25 years now. I mean, this guy's been, I don't know Christ, he must have done something since Scott Pilgrim. What was it? Oh yeah, the Baby Driver. I don't know. So he must have done something since Baby Driver, but still, like his ability to create, whether it is an action or an adaptation or comedy. I mean, he's
effortless.
been doing it. Yeah, he's been effortless is a great word for it.
Yeah, he's got his repertoire is deep, and he doesn't get pigeonholed. He's proven to do a lot of different styles, but he just has a unique way about
Mm.
his filmmaking, whether it's his obscure camera moves or the timing. I think what is hilarious about him is it's just like it's incredibly British. Like the
Mm.
comedy is incredibly, it never really skips a beat. Like it pays tribute to all the things that came before him, the Monty Pythons, the Faulty Towers, all that stuff, and it's just like it is pitch perfect British
His
comedy, but like
pace, yeah, his pace
elevated.
on it too. He
Oh, it's
paces
so
it so
good.
well.
He does pace it well. And this is a fairly short season, I think. I don't know if they did 2 or 1, but man, it's funny. There's just episodes you watch and you're just like, oh, I see why he made Shaun of the Dead after this, or like Hot Fuzz or something. You just see like it shines really well
Mm.
through space. So another kind of rare gem you should pick out
The
is
OG Man Show.
the OG Man Show, which I didn't remember actually premiering in 1999. But look at these goofballs. God, Jimmy
Okay,
Kimmel and Adam Carolla.
okay, I'm trying to remember. Did oh God? All right, so I know that I've seen the Man Show. I know I have. I'm trying to remember because I remember it ended with girls bouncing on trampolines.
Bouncing
That
on
was right.
trampolines, correct? Yep.
That's obviously how every show ended. Was it skits? Was it did they do man on the street interviews? I'm trying to remember
Great
what the
question.
substance of the show was. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
that's honestly, it doesn't really ring a bell. I just know it was basically the ziggy
Yeah,
zaggy
yeah, they
boys
had the
and the drinking,
dude, I
all
think that
that kind
guy
of shit. That's
died,
all
dude.
I remember. That's
I
like
think that
peppered
guy
into my memory of the Man Show. And these two guys who obviously went on to do fair. I mean, God, I mean, Jimmy
oh,
Kimmel
Kimmel,
runs his
he's
own freaking
loaded.
late night show. I don't know what Adam
No,
Carolla
loaded.
does. I think he's kind of turned into a little bit
He
of an
has
incel and did like a podcast.
he has his own yeah, it's like I think it's called the Adam Carolla podcast or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's like I've listened to a couple clips of when comedians have been on, and it's from I think he used to do talk radio, like he used to do like a morning radio show way back when. So
Oh,
it's
that makes sense.
much like a gay podcast is just it feels more like a talk radio kind of outlet than obviously the Man Show. But dude, I'm trying to remember what the hell. Like, I feel like there were some skits. Didn't they have like some? Did they have some
You might be
midgets do
right about
something?
the man on the street kind of stuff. It was all just like it was super obviously man facing sketches,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
like sexy women drinking or some kind of shock factor like that. But yeah, it does not ring a memory. If you know, let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
What the hell
girls
was
on
the Man
trampolines. I
Show about?
remember. I will
Yes,
never forget that. That I
never will
remember.
forget that. Yes, my young hormones remember that quite well. Um
Oh, Strangers Candy.
Strangers with Candy was effing weird. Amy Sedaris, what a
Dude,
weird
she's
vehicle for
awesome,
her.
dude. She's
She's the
awesome.
best
That
part. Yeah, she's great as an actress in general. And this is such a strange. I mean, wow, what would you describe the premise of this show as?
It's I think it's like a 45-year-old like drug addict alcoholic goes back to high school to get her college or high school diploma, and then she's a train wreck, and everyone like in her town and the school is also like almost as wacky, if not wackier.
Yeah, it was definitely like a character study ensemble thing, and Stephen Colbert was in this
Yeah,
too,
young
wasn't he?
Colbert, young
A young,
Colbert.
very young Colbert. I think he was a teacher or something at the school, and it was a very early Comedy Central vehicle, and it worked at that time. I think on Comedy Central may have been lost in the fold if it came out later, but
I think I remember seeing something where she has like a fat suit made for her role, and she would like wear her fat suit like home, and she would like wear it on the plane to like fly home
that's
and like
awesome.
freak out her parents. Like her parents would be like, "Oh, Amy, you got so fat." She'd be like, "I know, I got so fat," just to fuck with her
I
parents.
love it.
Like that's awesome.
And she looked like maybe some fake teeth in a lot too.
Oh
Like
yeah, dude.
her teeth just looked ridiculous. She just looked ridiculous. I mean, look at her in the
Oh yeah.
picture. But that's a pretty deep cut. Some strangers with candy.
I'm trying to remember how many seasons that made. Oh, one of my favorite cartoons.
Yeah, here we go with
Home
some
movies.
home movies. I actually didn't really get too into the home movies thing when it came out. I watched some of them later on, but I mean, it was a pretty big. Wasn't it an Adult Swim or Cartoon Network thing?
I wanna say it was Adult Swim. I'm trying to remember, like, when didn't fuck, I'm trying to remember when, like, Cartoon Network turned into Adult Swim, because, there would be, like, Adult Swim was at, like, 10 PM at certain
Yeah,
nights,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, but dude, H. John Benjamin, voice of Archer, voice of is Coach McGurk there on the right, and
Yup.
then Brendan Small, he did, Metalocalypse. Metalocalypse
Oh,
was real big,
amazing.
but dude,
Yeah.
this was one that I also did not catch until dude, like several years later, like downloading it, like finding it on like LimeWire or Kazaa or something. And because I remember not being familiar with this when it aired on TV, and
Hmm,
then finding it like on download sites. Dude, underrated. Great freaking cartoon. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of guest stars too, like Louis C.K.'s his dad is Brendan Small's dad.
that's
Uh
cool.
I'm sure there's a bunch of other people. I haven't seen this show in fucking forever, but this is a good watch if you like cartoons.
Yeah, definitely, definitely check that out. And
Oh, speaking of
on the
cartoons,
on the cartoon train, Batman Beyond came out in 1999. This was obviously, I think, the precursor. I'm sorry, the follow-up to the Batman animated
your animated
series, which was
series.
highly popular in the 90s,
Oh,
and
one of the best.
yeah, probably the best of all time. And I mean, I've watched most of this in its iteration. It's fairly good. It obviously follows, I think, to the comics and the creation of kind of the Batman passing of the torch, older Bruce Wayne training this new Batman in kind of a new age Gotham City. I mean, it was pretty wild and out there for the most part.
Now this I've not the animated series from the earlier '90s. I watched probably every episode of that. I
Yeah.
don't think I ever watched Batman Beyond. I have seen like clips on YouTube for however the algorithm decides like what to show you, and I was surprised that with it being Batman Beyond, Kevin Conroy still voices
Yes. Yeah,
the
he does.
OG Bruce Wayne, because this is not Bruce Wayne. This is a new character. And I remember whatever clip I was seeing, it was like old Bruce Wayne, and it's like, oh, I think that's what it was. It was how he why he decides to no longer be Batman, and he gets his ass kicked, and he like goes to like grab a gun and shoot somebody, and it's like as crazy as Batman as a person is, that's what finally made him decide to like hang up
He
the
got his
fucking.
ass handed to him.
He got his ass handed to him. He was going to use a gun to murk somebody, and he just couldn't do it.
Wow. Yeah, the only thing I can kind of remember was like this show came out in 1999, and then the timeline in the cartoon was they said it in the distant future of
Oh, the distant future.
2019.
Dude, fucking Bruce Wayne probably had like cartoon stem cells, like whatever the hell,
Yeah,
however old he's gonna be. I mean, he's Bruce Wayne. Even he's got rejuvenant or the Lazarus pit,
that's
probably.
what I'm
He could.
saying. So they took plenty of liberties. This didn't go on for that much longer. Maybe a couple of seasons, and then they capped it off. But it was a fairly popular cartoon show in the moment.
Oh,
Speaking of
nice.
popular cartoon phenomenons, really, 1999 gave us SpongeBob.
So, this is
Little
one
bastard.
where I know that there is, uh, I think there's a bunch of, you know, this coming out in 1999, right? You fast forward 20 something years. I think there was like a bunch of people who watched this when it came out, and then they had kids. And so then they're like, and dude, I don't know if this like still making new episodes of this or whatever,
Who
but
knows?
I feel like that's a big part of this is like staying power of this is the reintroduction of,
Yes.
obviously kids to this, but also like the parents of those kids liking the show when it was out. Like I used to watch this show,
Yes,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah,
and
and
this
it's found, I think, many iterations. I think they've come back and like you said, just it's like almost the Ninja Turtles, right? There'll always be some reincarnation of that brand, but I think they've done it with SpongeBob for years, since 1999.
Yeah, like, I do know that this show also is supposed to have some, like for it being a kid show, it's also supposed to have, like, some adult like, I don't wanna say, like, adult humor, but, like, jokes that adults get, you know what I
Correct.
mean? So,
Yeah.
the writing on this is as wacky as it is, I believe the writing is also supposed to be pretty good on the show, but one that I just kinda fell through the
No,
cracks
I can't say that
for
I've
myself.
seen much of the
Mm.
SpongeBob, but I know the kids used to love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Ah,
Oh.
the Family Guy,
Dude,
who could
this
not bring up Family Guy in 1999?
so that means that, I wanna
Wow.
say this is only 2 years after South Park, or South Park's like 97? I think South
Not
Park's
far
97?
after. No,
You know,
yeah.
dude, I did not recall that, Family Guy was only 2 years after South Park. That's crazy because one is obviously, I would say, a little more beloved than the other, like, the fucking Family Guy, got dinged for often seen as like lazy
Yeah.
gags, like their goofs where you like South Park did it best. Like you think that's bad. This is as bad as the time where I fill in the blank with this person in
Yeah.
this location.
They've always had a
But
fairly contentious relationship, the 2 shows as well, which is very funny too. They definitely have poked at each other over the years.
I mean, I would be lying if I did not. I've not laughed very hard at several Family Guy things. I mean,
Yeah.
I've laughed at several things on Family Guy quite hard.
Yeah, same, and I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's become just, like, not just a show, but an institution, because I
And
think I know Seth MacFarlane has moved on to do other things, and I think they just, like, it's just a machine. It's just it stays in the zeitgeist with relevance, and it's poking fun of itself. It's poking fun at pop culture. It always did that very well while putting these like weird characters and zingers and funny lines all peppered into it too.
wasn't it, like, canceled and brought back, like, 2 or 3 times too?
Yeah,
Like, there was like, I mean, to
you're
show you
right.
how much, a fan base, likes
Yeah,
the show, it
you're right.
literally brought it back from extinction at least twice. At least twice.
That's impressive. Yeah, and again, it's one of those things where it's a tale as old as time, and you just wonder like at what point does it sputter out and they stop? They could do it forever. Another cartoon, man. Man, it was we were ripe in 1999 with the big cartoons coming out for sure. I mean, Futurama is no chump change either. I mean, this is a Matt Groening hit. Is I guess just another answer to a futuristic Simpsons, really.
Now, didn't they bring this back too? Like, isn't
Yeah,
there new feature out? Is there new
that's come.
jeez.
It's come back several times too, and I remember when this did come out, I can remember, like, them premiering it, and I think, like, the whole gag is like, I think it takes place in 1999 or something,
The
like,
start of it, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
Fry's been frozen or something, and he wakes up. It might be further in the future, but they play on the 1999
Mm.
thing in the pilot episode, and this was just another show, great memorable characters with funny lines, obviously Bender and, Zoidberg. I mean, just all these like really funny characters. I think it was one of those shows that had that hot pocket of seasons and then, tapered off in my opinion over time, but was pretty funny.
And I do remember people wanting it to be like, "This isn't The Simpsons." It's like, "Yeah, it's not The Simpsons. It's a whole new show." I remember, like, there was backlash because, like, "This isn't The Simpsons." Like, "Yeah, it's not The Simpsons.
It's
It's
not
the
The
same guy.
Simpsons,
It's the
dude.
same
Yeah.
guy. It's just not The Simpsons."
Yeah, and I mean, more power to him to try to expound out from, the whole like Springfield thing and The Simpsons, and it was a fairly noble attempt, and I think it's made its way into history, and obviously had a prominent time in 1999. What else we got? Reed, Mother effing Reed. Look at him, big smiles, lots of money. 1999 marks the premiere of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, a
This
huge phenomenon game show on television in '99.
this makes sense. Like, this seems like, I'm trying to think of what like, this was the first
God,
wasn't this the start of, like, the new round of this is the game show that's gonna be on at night, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Like, now there's well, I don't know if they still make 'em. I can remember seeing commercials for, like, Deal or No Deal,
Yep.
all that kinda stuff. This is oh, shit. This is remember when they were an hour long, and the cliffhangerness of well, I'm gonna ask you this question, and but before you answer it, we have to go to say
Yeah,
goodnight, and everyone, oh, the
yeah.
whole crowd, and then
Yep.
we're back. You gotta stick in the chair.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It
The
did harken
built-in
back.
drama.
Yeah, it harkened back into the very, like, host-heavy, personality-heavy game show, and, of course, they called upon good old Regis Philbin to do it, and it was cool. It had a very unique model to it, and obviously, it was all about, like, people sitting across from him, answering a series of questions. You could phone a friend. There was a 50-50 option. AI producer brings up the fact that actually, in 1999, a contestant by the name of John Carpenter, not to be confused with director John Carpenter of Halloween, was the first player on the show to actually win the million, and the first person in American history to win $1 million on an actual game show on television. So that's a big chunk of change. Of course, that's before taxes. So I don't know
I
what
think
homeboy
that's
walked away with, but that's
I think
pretty
that's the
damn
guy
good.
when you get a lifeline, like you could call, you can like phone a friend to get an answer. I think that's the guy where he said, "I'd like to call my dad," and he said, "Dad, I'm about to win $1 million," which is
Wow,
a pretty baller move. That's a
that
pretty
is
baller move. And then
that
he
is a
like he did
sick flex,
because
man.
he knew the answer. I mean, that's pretty baller.
Wow, it's really baller, dude. I didn't realize that. Well, if that's him, he's pretty badass, and he did win the million. Um, and I want to say this show, I think there's other iterations of it now. Everything comes back in and around, but yeah, sadly without Reach, but they will continue to keep the Who Wants a Millionaire train going as long as I guess the sponsors will pay for it. Also in TV, in news of that time in 1999, we sadly uh,
Lost, I was gonna say.
Mr. Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert. Look at these two son of a bitches. I've never were two people that sniped at each other that secretly I think hated but loved each other on screen. These guys were they're the two thumbs up. I guess Gene Siskel, he did have to go get brain surgery. And I think he
Yeah,
died during the surgery. I don't know if it was a cancer related thing, but that was sad. That broke up the duo. It was like, wow, what an end of an era. These guys were just, you either
there
saw movies or you didn't with these dudes.
and it was like for as far as like in the world of influencers where, hey, I really like this thing. These guys were like, it was rare that I shouldn't say this. There's often times where they would like, oh, I didn't like this movie, but it still did a lot of like at the box office. But there was like the selling point of a movie was
Yeah,
two Siskel and Ebert, give it
I know.
two thumbs up. Like that was like, oh, Siskel and Ebert liked it. Oh, we should watch this.
Can you imagine? I mean, the power of that
Like,
is
yeah, the
just
swinging dick.
incredible.
It's like,
Yeah,
look at
what a
this, like,
swinging thumbs. Like, no shit. And it's like, yeah, they really would. And then there'd be and their show was always fun. I would always try to catch their show because it would
oh
just
yeah.
be one of them would have a hair across their ass, and they'd always Siskel would always he'd be cracking fat jokes, and Ebert was just they
Like,
did a
talking
great
down to
job
him.
of they had a great job of pairing those personalities together, and they're just iconic, man. And like you said, now after that came Rotten Tomatoes and like people that are making YouTube videos shitting on movies. It's like the critique era of the great critic, a movie critic, ended with those two dudes. They're just so iconic.
Yep,
Got the last of
definitely.
them in 1999. That's sad.
1999.
Salute to those guys. Two thumbs way down for
Way
cancer.
down. Yeah, way down.
All right, and
Oh,
then
yeah, young he looks.
rounding off the TV category, obviously in 1999, another kind of big moment was Mr. Jon Stewart sat in the seat for the Daily Show, taking over for Craig Kilborn, who did a
Kilborn.
very admirable job
But it
for the
became what
time.
the Daily Show, like, I can remember the Craig Kilborn Daily Show, which was a little more, like, zany, like, lighthearted, and then
Hmm,
Stewart definitely had, like, a little more grounded in like, it was still fun and funny, but, like, the political acumen that he brought to, I
interesting.
definitely think it shifted the gear of the show because it would always have a
Hmm,
interview with like a celebrity or something, but
right.
I want to say like the issues that it tackled with Jon Stewart, but the focus of what they kind of covered definitely I think was kicked into another gear when Stewart took over. And dude, like there was look how young he looks right
I
there, bro.
know. Notice no gray hair because like
Dude, no,
that
no,
dude
like
sat in that
barely.
seat until he was full gray. And I mean, I can't even probably add up the amount of Emmys this show won. I mean, this show catapulted Steve Carell, Stephen Colbert. I mean, the list goes on of people that just
Rob
started on that
Riggle.
show. Yeah, like just
Jeez, there's
people
so
that
many
came
more.
on and did these little kind
Ed
of
Helms. I think
functional
Ed Helms
parts.
was on it. Ed
Yeah,
Helms was on it
yes,
too.
he was. Yeah, and amazing. And he just he's Jon Stewart, man. He did bring his brand to it, and obviously, Daily Show was a huge part of Comedy Central's success during moving into the new millennium. But
Yeah, it's still on 25 years later.
yeah, exactly. It's still going strong. But all right, I mean, that's a fairly good look into TV. TV,
Dude,
baby.
that's like a lot of dude.
What a
That is
year for
what
TV.
1999 had to offer, like in TV shows, is way better than what they had to offer for fusion foods. Way better.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right
Way
now,
better.
TV's taking the #1 spot. But that's pretty damn good. Let's take a break. Let's go see some of our fantastic sponsors. We'll come back for our third and final category here on Anachronology 1999.
99.
We'll be back.